Good evening, my friends. Today, today I'm going to share from Job 31, and I was trying to find a scripture to capture um, just something that I've learned throughout my life and had to overcome. I'm 40 now, but yeah, I was a young teenage boy and a young man and and a fool, really. I struggled with lust and womanizing and just you know doing my own thing and gratifying my own flesh and self pleasure and all those things. Um, but God has freed me from those things and even though I knew that I wanted to share about this topic today, I'll be honest, I had a dream last night. This is how the enemy works. It's like I was telling somebody else that I was going to make some videos about overcoming pornography and masturbation and lust and these things, and I had a dream last night about some women from my past and different things, and it was just like, what in the world? And here I am, thinking, I've overcome these things, and I have, but the enemy was trying to beat me down, to make me think that I wasn't worthy to even speak about this. But then I realized, I definitely have to speak about these things. So, but when I woke up this morning, I was like, golly, I'm having to cast out thoughts out of my mind and just overcome. So, but that's what we do, as Christians. We overcome, and it's a process, and it doesn't mean you're never going to experience temptation or the enemy's not going to put something in your mind, or your flesh is going to put something in your mind, or whatever. But when we're tempted, God is able to provide a way of escape for us. But we just have to take that way of escape, and we need to know that we have to look to God to find that way of escape. And one thing that the Lord taught me, and when I started to get freedom from this, I was actually in prison. And in prison, I think I was looking at like Maxim magazines, so it wasn't, it was like I had started turning to the Lord, and maybe there was like these Maxim magazines where the girls were dressed, but it was obviously extremely risque and provocative. Um, but there was a point in time where the Lord showed me something about, you know, I'm looking at this girl that I don't even know, and maybe even fantasizing about her, and I don't know her. I'll never meet her. You know what I mean? And the Lord really showed me like how pathetic that was. You know, I never really thought about how pathetic it was to dream and fantasize about some woman that I'll never meet or see. It's like, and she might not even be real. Really, I mean, if you met her in real life, she might not look anywhere near like what those pictures look like. But but the Lord really shifted something for me at that point in time, and started to train me to do like Job says here. I'm going to read Job 31. It says, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think about a maid or a woman? For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? It is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity. Does not he see my ways and count all my steps? And I think it's important to understand that Job starts off with talking about basically looking at a woman lustfully and pondering about her in his mind. And he's saying, like, look, don't I understand that these are things that we cannot do? Like, this is what wicked people do, and what's more important is the reason why Job is able to overcome and make a covenant with his eyes and overcome and not stare at women look at, look into these things and fantasize in his mind, and allow his imagination to flourish, is because he knows this about God. Does he not see my ways and count all my steps? That's one of the most important things that we need to start to really understand, is how present God is in our lives. And I want to go into this more, but it's important to know that we cannot hide anything from him. He sees all that we do. And one of the things the Lord really was revealed to me was like, look, if there's things that I'm not willing to do in public or in front of other people, or in front of my mom or my dad, or really anyone, um, why would I do it in front of God? Why is it that it's so easy to kind of push God behind our back and say, you know what, sorry, I got to take care of this lust I got right now, and it's just driving me. I'm sorry, Lord, you're gonna have to get behind me for a minute. Let me take care of this, and then I'll come back to you later after I satisfy this desire of my flesh. So we need to be able to see things from that perspective. We need to understand how present God is. But when you slip and you fall, you got to understand God's grace. But what's going to keep you is understanding God's presence and beginning to fear God, to fear the destruction of the wicked and the strange punishment for the workers of iniquity, and to know that even though God's grace and mercy is so amazing, and he's leading us, and we slip and we fall and we make mistakes, but as long as we're striving to put an end to these works of the flesh, to stop watching porn or looking at magazines, or stop fantasizing about women and stop pleasuring ourselves, as long as we're working to fighting that thing, we stay in God's grace. You know what I mean? But if we surrender and succumb to it, and just say, well, it's okay, it's just I can't overcome it, that's a lie from the enemy. That's just not true, because you can. Um, and maybe I can say that easily now because I'm married and I have a wife. But I know men that struggle with those things even in marriage. So if I can overcome it and have a wife, and be faithful to my wife, then and I know it's going to be way harder for a young adult, but it's possible. It's possible. There's nothing impossible with Christ. There's nothing impossible with him. It's just a matter of learning to surrender and submit and trust and believe, and fear God, and God can do anything, it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult process, but it's possible. So I just want to share on that. I'm going to share a few more videos. God bless. Good night.